Disney Plus has just released its latest Star Wars series, Andor, in a 3-episode premiere. Diego Luna reprises his role from Rogue One as Cassian Andor in this prequel series that shows his early days in the budding rebellion. I have a lot of mixed feelings on this show as Andor takes several major steps in the right direction and has the potential to become an incredible series. Tonally, it's much darker, grounded show, and it takes itself seriously, as does the cast, who all give incredible performances. However, several of the good aspects of the show also prove to be severe hindrances that threaten to make it kind of forgettable. Andor begins with its title character searching for his sister in the less savory parts of town. This brings him into contact with 2 low-ranking Imperial officers who attempt to rob him. A fight ensues and Cassian ends up killing both men and then flees. This sets the plot into motion with Cassian avoiding detection before coming into contact with a mysterious stranger who knows all about him and is looking to recruit him in the fight against the Empire. This is cut against Cassian's childhood on his home planet where an Imperial ship had crash-landed, leading him to investigate. This is the first of the show's many dualities, as this story is refreshingly different, opting for a more grounded and human story, showcasing small, intimate moments that have major consequences. However, this also makes it unbelievably slow, as after nearly 2 hours it felt like almost nothing happened. Andor's slow pace, while a welcome change after Disney Star Wars' typical hyperactive, frantic pacing, brings the show to an absolute crawl when it should be sprinting right out of the gate. Scenes that should feel tense are dragged on by an endless stream of overly repetitive dialogue. The mixing of positive and negative aspects is also felt in the show's cinematography. In terms of its lighting, Andor is a massive improvement from previous entries, treating the viewer to quite possibly the best, most atmospheric lighting design in all of Disney's Star Wars, the likes of which we haven't seen in years, conveying the mood and emotion of the scenes beautifully. In terms of framing, however, and camera placement, Andor absolutely fails to tell its story visually, choosing instead to rely on the dialogue for this. So let's take a look at a few examples of both the great lighting design and less than great framing of this show. Starting off with the lighting, Andor makes great use of a variety of color palettes, or softer, more diffused blues and greens typically reserved for those less savory characters and scenarios, while more sharply defined but warmer and more natural looking colors for scenes at home. While it's not exactly breaking new ground with this approach, it's done extremely well and with great technique. It also makes incredible use of its environment, utilizing both practical and motivated lights. Now, practical lights are ones that you can see physically in the shot, like in this one here at the bar. Motivated lights are imitating the light of those practicals. So when a light like that would not be sufficient enough to light the scene, this is where you would have this shot. Look here carefully at the actor's eyes. You can see the reflection of the light, showing that a motivated light is actually lighting them from underneath, with the effect looking like their faces are being lit by that screen. Andor seems to know exactly when to utilize these 2 types of lights and pulls off convincing looks remarkably well. However, as fantastic as Andor's lighting design is, that's only half of cinematography, and the other half is the camera's framing. And it seems in this show to favor people and faces over actions and things, focusing entirely on the dialogue between characters with a lot of close-ups, which is great for dramatic scenes between people, but it falls quite short for action scenes and for scenes where objects are the key. Take, for example, this same scene. The actors fill the frame and the focus is pulled to their faces. However, the driving force of the scene isn't their dialogue or even them themselves, but the path that's mapped out on the computer screen, which is kept out of focus and occupies less space than the characters. Now, it makes for a gorgeous shot, but one that doesn't tell the story most effectively. Now, the fix to this would be really simple. Starting on the 2 characters just like we have, we then rack focus to the screen with a slight pan and a push in to square it up. This would then focus the drama of the moment on the Empire locating Cassian and the tension of his evading capture instead of just the dialogue in this moment between these people. Or we could also take this scene as another example. When Cassian meets the stranger, the focus is again on the 2 of them and their dialogue, neglecting to introduce key elements that play into their escape. Without a strong setup, the payoff feels kind of empty. Now let's compare this to something like Mission Impossible Fallout, where all the elements that are necessary for the scene to work are properly introduced, so that when they do come into play, it feels natural and earned. Now, one final aspect of the show's visuals that I want to talk about is its use of the volume and sets. It's absolutely a major improvement from Obi-Wan, as it utilizes mostly real sets, keeping its use of LED backgrounds to a minimum. And when it does use them, it adds in real elements to bring in some depth to the shots. However, it still is quite obvious in wider shots, and the volume continues to prove that it just doesn't have what it takes to work well in wider angles, as whatever depth is in the image ends on that flat surface. Overall, Andor has gotten off to a bit of an uneven start, neither being the triumphant return to form that reunites fans, nor a poorly shot, divisive character deconstruction. These first 3 episodes are then perhaps the embodiment of the lead character himself, full of potential to be great, just not quite living up to it right now. Well, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it around. And if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so you can be notified right away when I post new videos. And let me know down in the comments, what did you think of Andor?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.